This week on Tech Stuff Tuesday, part 2 of the truth about the Rockville K9 subwoofer. Jumping right in, we've got a little bit of natural progression. We've looked at Rockville's video, we've looked at EXO's video. We determined that EXO's video had nothing wrong with the test, everything appeared to check out. We looked at both of the Rockville videos, we saw that they didn't put rated power on the sub, and it survived. They put half, less than half, it survived, as you would expect. And then we watched them take a Sundown Audio SA15, clip it a lot for 2.5 minutes, and blow that one up. So naturally, this leads us to here. I have a Rockville W12 K9 D2 12-inch. I was not able to get a 15-inch. They appear to not be in stock anywhere. And there's really only two places that they would be in stock. One, directly on Rockville's website, or number two, the only dealer that I found. And then I looked up Audio Savings. This happens to be the same address as Rockville. As it turns out, audiosavings.com is, I guess, the parent company to Rockville. Rockville is Audio Savings' store brand. So if you're supporting Rockville, you're supporting Audio Savings. If you're supporting Audio Savings, you're supporting Rockville. They are one and the same. They operate from the same address. Funny enough, this says Audio Savings West Coast facility and lists the New York address. Apparently they don't know which coast they're on. But regardless, I have not opened this yet. I had this shipped to my home, so it would not be blatantly obvious, and I couldn't get shipped something that was special or anything like that. This is the same thing that anybody would buy for any reason, and I have not opened it, which we are going to do right now, so you can see from the very beginning to the very end of this video, this is a brand new sub purchased on a retail market, which is also why it took a little bit of time for me to get it. I actually purchased this through Amazon. And we are not sponsored by Amazon or advocating that you shop at Amazon, but that is where I acquired it. So this is double boxed. And the first thing we see here are some data sheets. There's also get your free Rockville t-shirt. All you need to do is leave a product review on Amazon for the item you purchased. After you're done, email us a copy of your review, and we will send you a free Rockville t-shirt with your Rockville sticker. So I will probably leave a review based on how this pans out, and we'll see if I get a free t-shirt. This moves us on to our wiring, which I believe EXO found an issue with. I don't know exactly where that was. I could probably look at this a little bit harder and find it. But for now, not worried about that. On our spec sheet, now this is what is shipping with the sub. This says cast aluminum with black sanded finish is the basket type. Cone ultra stiff black non-pressed paper cone. Polypropylene dust cap. 3-inch dual tool 4-layer aluminum voice coil. CEA, which, remember, not a thing. It would have to have a number after that to be accurate. It's just CEA, which is claiming 1,000, RMS 2,000, which on the website actually says program, and peak watts is 4,000. Then we have our sensitivity, technical data, things that we'll see how it goes if that's accurate. I may measure that. Other parameters, yada, yada, yada. This is actually slightly different than is on the website. So let's cue over to the website So now I printed this out from the website and we can compare what is different. We had a very small amount of information. That's really all that's necessary that came with the sub. And we have a lot of extra stuff here from the website printout. Peak power handling, 4,000 watts, same thing. Program power handling, 2,000, that is actually music when you're comparing PA. That's never used in car audio. But on PA, program is considered musical power. And then again, that CEA, that's not a thing, rated RMS, power handling, 1,000 watts. So now is where we get into the real interesting things, like 3-inch 4-layer black aluminum voice coils wound with OFC wire made in USA. Okay, so we'll break this down. 4-layer, there's 4 layers. Black, okay, aluminum voice coils wound with OFC, which is oxygen-free copper. If it's copper, it's not aluminum. It's copper. And wire made in USA, is it saying that the wire is made in USA or the whole coil is made in the USA? That's unclear, but I'm still not buying it. I know these are made in China. The box says it was made in China. So that would mean that the coils were made in the US with American OFC or aluminum, who knows at this point. And they took those coils, they shipped them to China, they built the sub with the American coils in China, then shipped the entire sub back, and they did all this for $114. I'm a bit skeptical at that. There's one other problem that I see here. Black aluminum. That is definitely copper, not black, or at least copper in color and not black. And also the sticker is coming off and all I did was take it out of the box. So there's one major discrepancy with the coil, and that's what was said to be changed between the V1 and the V2. This coil is stable up to 240 degrees Celsius. The voice coil windings are made in the USA. Again, that's very peculiar wording, but 240 degrees Celsius is what they're claiming, and you better believe we're going to check that. Double stacked 190 ounce high quality magnet. I don't know why you would advertise a low quality magnet, but I could take the boot off and see. I trust it's a double stack. I see no reason to question that. Cast aluminum basket, black sanded finish. Make the sub very efficient and lighter weight. The basket has nothing to do with efficiency at all. I'm not sure why you think the basket or the black sanded finish would make the sub efficient. Lighter weight. If you had the same basket made of steel, it would be lighter weight. But if you had a stamped steel, the stamped steel basket would weigh less than the aluminum basket. So it's not actually lighter weight. So that's a bit of an issue. 2 chrome-plated binding post terminals. That should be easy to check. Black non-pressed paper cone with beautiful finish. I mean, that's subjective, but whatever. Our cones are ultra stiff. They are thicker and stronger than other subs on the market, making our subs able to handle more power. Well, mechanically, they might handle more power if you had a cone breakage, but if you never had a cone breakage, then it wouldn't handle more power, and we've already established from prior videos that power handling wise, it does not handle more power, at least in the other videos. Thick foam surround provides incredible sound quality with minimal distortion. That's possible. Generally, if it's thicker, it's going to have a stiffer compliance, which would have more distortion. But I guess thick is relative. Red stitch cone reinforcement ensures long life. Okay, we'll come back to that. Ultra stiff polypropylene dust cap, we'll come back to that too. Vented hole on T-yoke. Things about the magnet boot. That's fine. It's normal. Rockville mounting gasket makes it beautiful. Easy to mount. Subwoofer airtight. With every word capitalized almost. That's very weird. High BL magnetic motor gap. There's only one problem with that. BL is when the coil is in the gap. That's not the Gauss at all. That's only when the coil is in the gap, but that wouldn't be the gap. Doesn't make sense. Highest grade black glue that handles extremely high temperatures, which allows our woofer to handle even more power than they are rated. Think about that one. Failed under rated power, but allegedly the highest grade black glue matters? I don't know. Handles extremely high temperatures. The glue might, but apparently the coils don't, according to Exo's video. Doesn't seem to handle more power than rated. No mix splitter, longer reliability over regular cotton, polycotton, blah, 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 whatever. A bunch of other stuff. X-Max, we could probably validate that in some form or fashion. And we have fail small parameters and that kind of thing. So what we can do from here is revisit those few items. So let's get a close-up on those. So coming back to those few items, thick foam surround. It doesn't feel particularly thick. That's whatever. Red stitching cone reinforcement. Does that look red to you? That doesn't look red to me. That looks pretty black. Pretty sure that's not red. Ultra stiff polypropylene cone. It is polypropylene. Not sure I'd call that ultra stiff. Where do we go from here, you might think? Well, they supplied fail small parameters. So how about we put this on the test bench, break it in for a while, and take our own parameters and see if they match. But first, I'm going to test parameters before putting them on the bench to see if those will end up matching any of those specs at all. Well, this is quite interesting. I haven't put a single bit of power to this sub yet. I took the parameters, and the FS is already lower than the parameters supplied. So there's definitely a discrepancy. I haven't looked at the rest of it, but there's definitely a discrepancy from the FS alone. That's not a good sign. So I'm going to get a good break-in on this thing, like I would normally do on test bench for getting some broken-in specs. It's not going to be 100% broken in, but a fair amount, and then we'll grab specs again and see what those look like. So we are now 45 minutes of 20 hertz into breaking this in. So it is a little bit softer. I'm gonna go ahead and take the parameters on this now that it's got some good break-in on it, and then we will compare to what came in the box and what's on the website. So now we've got our break-in, and these are the results. So you can tell for some reason they put parallel specs on here, which is not an industry standard, but I've got this fold over so we're only seeing series, and this was done in series for comparison. The impedance being slightly off, that's whatever, not uncommon. The FS is 5 hertz off, which is pretty substantial. The QMS, QES are both different, which also makes the QTS quite a bit different. What I actually tested was 0.54 versus their 0.71. That is a very, very significant difference. If you look at the acoustic compliance, which is the VAS, 1.08 cubic feet to the 1.8 cubic feet tested. So the testing that I have done on this sub shows that it has a much looser suspension, pretty substantial, and I think it was even looser than their spec was saying before it was broken in. So I'm not sure if something changed with these subs at some point, or what the deal is with these specs, but these specs are not at all correct. BL is close. That's about it. MMS is different, sensitivity is different, pretty much everything is different, and it's it's way more than the 10% that you might expect. That's kind of common. So apparently their specs are not accurate either. So I guess from here, I'll have to go into the actual physical testing of this, or if you're an 80s kid, the physical challenge. Okay, so before we get to the actual physical testing to prove these actual things, which is probably not what you think it's going to be, let's look at CEA 2031 or CTA 2031, which has both been referred to by several people who thought they were on top of things and thought they had a gotcha moment. So we're going to look at this, but we're going to look at it two ways. One, directly from Rockville's mouth, and then how this is interpreted or read in another way. So let's look at that real quick.
This is the scope of what the CEA tests. So for amplifiers, there's something called CEA 2006, which I'll read this paragraph in a second. What CEA 2006 is literally the same test that Big D Wiz, here, you want to get that for Instagram? Big D Wiz does his certified test with the dyno. That's literally the same thing as the CEA 2006 amplifier test.
Well, not exactly, because the amp dyno, there is a spec for distortion that it's looking for, but it's not looking at voltage at all. There's no consideration. You can test whatever voltage you want. There's various impedances that you can check. CEA 2006 requires 14.4 volts. Exactly, 14.4 volts. And there's some other things with the frequency that you're playing and that kind of thing that are set to when you get that reading. So there are very specific things as part of the CEA 2006 testing that are not part of using an amp dyno, however it is that you want to use it. It is true that they are both used on resistors, so really this is not actual power you're getting in car, it's actual power you're getting if you listen to a resistor at exactly 14.4 volts. Not what you're seeing in car, unless you're maintaining exactly 14.4 volts and you're listening to a resistor, or your impedance is fluctuating down low enough to get to that point. Not to say that some amps might not do it anyway or anything like that, but just so you know, CEA 2006 has very, very specific things that it goes by that are not necessarily what you're going to get in car, whereas an amp dyno, also not the results you may get in car, but there's no standard of how it's used. You just use it however you want to use it and you see the results.
What the CEA 2031, which is actually now called CTA 2031, they changed the name from CEA to CTA, I don't know why. Most people still refer to it as CEA, because that's the original name. But in any case, what that test actually means, let me actually read the paragraph. I'm not even going to paraphrase, I'm going to read it. CEA 2031 defines test procedures for rating the performance and physical size of mobile loudspeakers and requirements for reporting these characteristics. CEA 2031, when used in conjunction with CEA 2006 testing and measurement methods for mobile audio amplifiers, enables consumers to select mobile loudspeakers with power handling capabilities that are appropriate for the power output characteristics of their mobile amplifiers.
Okay, but how is that determined? What is the test that is actually going on to determine that it can handle the CEA 2006 rated amplifier? Go on.
What is the CEA test? Well, there's all sorts of temperature controls and the environment is very controlled, but the basis of the test is an 8-hour test with white noise. White noise is basically, it's similar to music, especially when you're doing tests, so you don't want to test different manufacturers, test different songs, so they use white noise. Now the test is 8 hours and they run it to they match the amplifier to the subwoofer, so they take a CEA rated 1000 watt amplifier to a CEA rated 1000 watt subwoofer before clipping. 8 hours after the test, there can't be a change in the FS of over 10% or it fails.
So just to be clear, what I heard was there's certain conditions that have to be met for the environment. Okay, that's fine, whatever, makes sense. They put an amplifier that is CEA rated. Okay, fine, whatever. They put white noise on it, They don't actually measure the power that it's getting at all. They put white noise on it, they play it for 8 hours, and if the FS changed, which has to do with the suspension, not power handling, then it fails.
It's hard to find information about it online, so some people might think it doesn't exist.
Maybe the information is hard to find because it's intentionally vague, because you can actually make the test kind of however you want. It doesn't actually specify what tones or anything that has to be used, any specific track, recording level, anything like that, just white noise. There's a lot more to that test that you can't really find information on, because from what I have been told from somebody who has used it, you can kind of rig the test to be in your favor however you want it to. Granted, that's a third party doing it, but you can always tell the third party use this method or that method or who knows what.
Alpine, Rockville Fosgate, Kicker, Kenwood, not JL, Sony. JL actually, to be honest, their ratings are a lot stricter than the CEA standard.
Translation, the CEA power rating method sucks, and Alpine, Kenwood, Rockford Fosgate, and Sony have decided that they're going to use it.
So I have a test laboratory who has to do this CEA test. We do our own testing here, obviously, but we also have a laboratory who's a third-party engineer, and he has to certify the CEA test. And our subwoofer, the version 1 of the K9, passed it at 1200 watts.
Meanwhile, if you actually put 1200 watts on it, it dies in 15 seconds.
After some people bought the K9s and they were expecting more power because maybe they were in SPL competitions and they just wanted something even more.
They're kind of making that sound like the sub is putting out the power, not the amplifier, but in either case, nobody is using these for SPL. Even if that were the case, how about that peak rating of 4,000 watts? If it's just a burp for SPL, it should take 4,000 watts, right? But you said it would only take 1,600. None of this is making sense.
So we upgraded the K9, the second version. It handled 1,600 watts on the CA test. Now, again, that's not a constant test tone power.
It's not clamped power, guys, on a frequency tone.
It's
we're not
not
saying that. This is what we're trying to explain. Continue, Charlie.
Yeah, 100%. So that's not clamped power. That's using an amplifier. You're going to have impedance rise. We did a video about that. So that's going to lower the power that you see to the subwoofers. So we're not, lying about our rating.
So you're saying your amps don't make rated power either. That's why the subs are safe. Got it.
It's like, yeah, if you put a 1,000 watt test tone to a 1,000 watt sub and run it for a minute and a half, it's going to blow.
But in part 1, that was the video before this, I took a 750 watt sub, one of these, and I put over 750 watts on it for over a minute and almost a minute and a half. And the temperature on the coil was fine, everything was fine, and I did it just fine. And
our subs are not rated to do test tones.
Right. Your subs aren't rated for RMS power. We get it. We've established that. Glad to see we're on the same page. So here's our test setup. We have the 12 in a box. It's 2¼ cubic feet. People complain the other sub wasn't in a box. Not that it mattered, but here we are in a box. It is also inverted, so everybody who said it was at an advantage or disadvantage or whichever which way, it's in the same scenario. But the main reason why we have this inverted is so we can check coil temperature. The whole reason we did before. So we're going to look at that. We have our term lab set up here. Remember, we're not checking SPL. It doesn't matter. We're really concerned about true power right there. And what we're going to look at first is, because it was mentioned, of white noise. White noise is a culmination of the entire bandwidth of frequencies playing all at once. So we're going to check two things. One, since the white noise is supposed to simulate music, we're going to check power with white noise. And we're going to check the power with a tone. Completely separately, I generated both of these tracks, so I know they're recorded at the same volume. So I'm going to start with the tone. I'm going to unpause it. We're going to check power. Then I'm going to change over to the white noise. Check power with it, not touching volume gain or anything. Okay. So here we have cone movement. We're making 265 watts. I'm going to go track up We're now on white noise. See how much this is moving? And that is our power. Less than 1 watt. We went from over 200 watts to less than 1 watt. Going from tone to white noise. So this is simulating music, I guess would be the best way to put it, kind of. It's not playing various tones. You see where we're going from one to the other, and there is a substantial power difference on that. So I know what you're thinking. I should probably be checking white noise to verify this power that they're saying it will take. That's too easy. I'm gonna go one step better. Sure, I could take the sub and I could apply power to it and I could do the same exact thing that everybody else has already done and blow it up and go, yay, this is the power that it blew up on. But that doesn't learn anything about what's going on here or anything about the sub. So I'm going to do something that nobody has done. Remember back here on the website where it said 240 degrees Celsius? It's stable up to 240 degrees Celsius. That tells me 240 degrees on this coil, it's not gonna die. So we have our handy dandy thermometer and I've set it to Celsius. So we're looking for 240 and I'm gonna get this playing. I'm gonna play 60 hertz, same way I did on the other sub, so there's consistency. And I'm gonna start at a lower power. I'm gonna let it play for a few minutes. I'm going to periodically take temperature and then I'm going to ramp it up. And this entire time you can watch the power right here. And we're going to see when this coil fails, be it at a certain temperature, a certain power level, whatever, we are going to have the temperature that it fails and the power that it failed. So we can actually tell what's going on here. So 60 hertz on pause. Okay, we are starting at 420 watts and I'm just going to leave that. It's going to fall off as it gets warmer. Degrees. I do have a small amount of smell. I think that's normal for first playing a sub that's brand new, so I'm not worried about it. The power is falling off here pretty quickly. -42°C. We have dropped down to 350 watts. We do have cone movement, but again, we're not looking for how well it cools or anything else. We're looking for the temperature at which the coil fails. Oh, I can hear it. 65°C. I definitely hear it. Getting a little bit different reading, 58. Okay, the noise has gone away. We're at 339 watts. The noise is back. It might be something else vibrating around here. It's very possible. Yeah, I think it's the laptop moving around. Something's vibrating, so it's not the sub. All right, our temperature is dropping. So is our power. So we're going to go up one click. 525 watts, 520 watts. 57 degrees Celsius. And we are hanging out around 500 watts. That was a track end. I think I made it 3 minutes. So we're hanging out around 500 watts. And we're keeping pretty stable on temperature. And we'll check in here. 52 Celsius if I check the dust cap through the pole. Okay, we're dropping power. 500 watts seems to be pretty safe. We're going to go up a click. $670 watts, so we're still well below rated power. Temperature is still staying stable. I do not have a knob where I can modulate this power. Probably should have done that. But the next power level up is probably going to be around 1,000 watts or maybe a little more. $76. Hanging out 625 watts. So power is staying pretty constant here. You see the O-scope. It's clean power. We've got a 12,000 watt amp on here, so we don't have any problems making power at 3 ohms. This will actually make 14,000 watts at 2 ohms. So we're definitely clear there. We don't have to worry about that. Temperature appears to be stable. We're also down around 600 watts. We'll bump it up. $863 watts. Celsius. Oh, you see some smoke. I do see smoke. You can see it right here. 829 watts. Oh, you hear it? It's got a reading 72. It is about to die. Okay, 140. As soon as it started to get to just one point there, it just it got really hot really fast. Not sure exactly why. I guess the 800 watts just all of a sudden accumulates a ton of heat really fast. But there you have it. We're looking at around 800 watts. Same open air cooling everything. There's not an enormous amount of air coming out of these vents. And now we meet again in the calm, non-threatening voice next to a bench with a sub that just blew up on less than rated power. So one thing that we need to point out here is the difference between tone and music. Now tone is going to be a constant sine wave, and that constant sine wave can be very demanding on a sub. It's always playing at the same rate of power. It has absolutely no chance to cool off at any point, whereas music, you have dynamic frequencies. With those dynamic frequencies, your impedance goes up and down. When that happens, You have more power and less power. You might have more excursion and less excursion. And in those periods of time, there's a brief moment where it can cool down, and it can happen very quickly. So there's a benefit to that for the sub and the longevity of it. Don't forget about the music that is almost a tone, but still is actual music, like the stuff you find in bass race and bass boxing. Rockville says you can't play tones on these subs because they don't take rated power. And we did prove that. It definitely will not take rated power on a tone. It has to have the dynamic up and down of power because it can't take rated power. You get to temperature too fast and it just can't take it. This leads us to the CEA rating. They say it's CEA rated. That's not a thing. It has to be CEA 2031 or 2006. It has to be CEA something, some standard. You can't just say it's CEA rated. That means nothing. Their packaging should say CEA 2031 if they're going to claim that it is in fact some type of CEA rating. Looking at the CEA standard, we find it kind of sucks. It's based completely off of the amplifier not producing the amount of rated power that it's supposed to. So they're just saying that you can put this sub on this amp, but the amp's not making power, so the sub's not intended to handle it anyway, which is very misleading to the customer because they think it's going to actually handle that power. That's what RMS power is. It's root mean squared to say constant power. So if it says it's CEA rated or CEA 2031 rated, it shouldn't use RMS at all because I think that's not accurate. I think we should institute an EMF rating. The EMF rating is actual RMS. You can take that sub and you can put a tone on it for the allotted power that you say it does, and it survives. That's EMF rated. So this asks, the next question is Rockville intentionally misleading people? I don't think they are, at least on their ratings. They had a reason that they went by the 2031 standard, and that standard just sucks. It's pretty awful. I don't think anybody should be using it. It's intended to help the customer and make them choose an amp that is also CEA 2006 rated, so you have a good match and you think it'll be reliable. And the idea is so the consumer knows what they're getting and they can be ensured that what it says it'll do is what it will do. But as we found out with subwoofers, is that's not the case. It's a terrible standard. Nobody should use it. Now, where they have been misleading is in testing other companies' products, and you may have seen another video where they redid this test and found that it did not fail when they took the suggestions of myself and others and tested it properly. Not clipping it, not running it full range, not intentionally trying to kill it. They've done this a couple of times. I'm not so sure that they're going to continue to do that. It may just be simple ignorance. They may not understand exactly why this will not handle what they say it will. Regardless of if they are intentionally trying to mislead you, the products still don't hold up. And they definitely don't hold up the way you would expect them to, as we found out with this sub right here. I don't know if the other subs are that way. If they are rated on the same standard, it's very possible they will fail the same way. So why does this sub fail? I think it's just a poor design. They changed the coil in the V2. That's the only thing that they changed. It doesn't seem to have fixed the problem. It slightly improved it, but it didn't fix it. Can I figure out what exactly is wrong with this design? Absolutely. Am I gonna tell everybody how to do that? No, because you're not paying me to do your R&D. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do. Hit the notification bell so you get notifications on every Tuesday when we upload a new video. Sometimes the random ones in the middle of the week. Make sure you shop our website, emfcaraudio.com, for all of our products, as well as Sundown Audio, Excess Power, SBC, and Audio Control. You can also support this channel with Patreon, and that is in the link below. I'll see you again in another Tech Stuff Tuesday.